In the American diet, for example, we have, we're the only country in the world that sprays our entire grain supply with something called folic acid. We've been led to believe that folic acid is a natural vitamin. That's, but most people have heard of folic acid. They think it's vitamin B9. It's not. Folic acid is a man-made chemical that we make in a laboratory. You cannot find it anywhere on the surface of the earth. It does not exist naturally in Mother Nature. And so why is it so prevalent in our diet? Well, because in 1993, the chemical industry convinced the federal government that we needed to spray our entire grain supply with folic acid, all flour, all bread, all pasta, all cereal, grains of any kind. Although we don't call it sprayed with folic acid, we call it fortified or enriched. So fortified or enriched foods are foods that are sprayed with folic acid. So what happens when you take high doses of, it doesn't sound like a big deal, right? All this folic acid, until you realize it's the most prevalent nutrient in the human diet, and it's completely synthetic. So I'm not saying don't eat grains or rice or pasta or cereals or bread or things made with light flour. I'm saying eat the non-fortified, non-enriched versions of those, the organic versions of those. If you've ever eaten a bowl of pasta and a basket of bread here, and you just feel like you want to go to sleep and you're in a bad mood and your gut blows up like a tick, but then you go to Italy or you go to France and you have a fat bowl of pasta and a basket of bread over there, maybe even a glass of wine, you feel amazing. You actually lose weight eating pasta and bread in Europe. Why is that? They don't spray it with folic acid.
Why did they start spraying with folic acid? Did they think at some point there's a benefit, or is this just like some company wanting to make money?
Well, a little bit of both, right? There was the intention, the positive intention was they wanted to reduce the incidence of neural tube defects in newborns. Okay, so they looked at, the majority of people that are having these neural tube defects are folate deficient. Folate comes from green leafy vegetables. It's widely available in nature. So they said, well, everybody's folate deficient. So let's use this synthetic version, folic acid. We'll force it into the food supply, and then nobody will be folate deficient anymore, and it will reduce the number of neural tube defects. And that was great intention. What they didn't realize was that 44 to 50% of the population cannot process folic acid. They cannot convert folic acid in their bodies into the usable form called methylfolate. So what happens? Now you have a deficiency in methylfolate. What does a deficiency in methylfolate cause? Slow gastrointestinal motility. And what does that mean? That means that you get intermittent gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, irritability, and cramping. And what happens when you get those symptoms is you go down the road of food allergies and food sensitivities. You get your gut microbiome checked. You go on all kinds of elimination diets. Nothing works because your body is missing the raw material methylfolate because you cannot convert the folic acid into methylfolate. What would happen if instead of taking folic acid, you took the methylated version called methylfolate? Those symptoms would go away. When young women get pregnant, the very first thing their OBGYN tells them to do is to take very high doses of folic acid. Well, half of these women can't process folic acid. So what happens? They develop postpartum depression, which, for the record, begins during pregnancy. It's called postpartum depression, but it's actually a depressive cycle that begins during pregnancy. And then eventually, when the pregnancy ends and they stop taking the prenatal vitamin, the symptoms go away. So they blame it on the pregnancy, not on the vitamin. So if we would, understanding human physiology, the solution is not a synthetic chemical. The solution is the nutrient the body needs, which is called methylfolate. So if there are any young women that are planning to get pregnant listening to this podcast, don't take a prenatal that has folic acid. Take a prenatal that has methylfolate. Your chances of postpartum depression go down. Your chances of improving the neural tube activity for your baby, which is what you want to do, go up. And you should have a happy pregnancy.
But before we get into that, men, real talk for a second, we are all afraid of losing our hair. And whether that's a receding hairline, thinning at the crown, or just thinning in general, the fear is there. But fortunately, there is a solution, and that would be our sponsor, Hims Hair Loss Solutions, where you could join hundreds of thousands of subscribers who got their flow back.
Hims offers a 100% online process that provides access to a range of hair loss treatments that work, all from the comfort of your couch, making treating hair loss simple with doctor-trusted treatment options and clinically proven ingredients like finasteride and minoxidil that can regrow hair in as little as 3 to 6 months.
And if swallowing pills is a challenge for you, no problem at all, because Hims also has a serum, spray, and chewable options.
The process is simple and it's 100% online. Just answer a few questions and a medical provider will determine if treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your treatment will be sent directly to your door.
So guys, start your absolutely free online visit today at hims.com/ICH.
That's HIMS.com/ICH for your personalized hair loss treatment options, or you could click the link down below in the description. HIMS.com/ICH.
Results vary. Based on studies of topical and oral minoxidil, prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Thank you to Hims for sponsoring this episode, and back to the podcast.